Out of all of the Xenoblade 3 characters, Sena has to be my favourite. I mean, she's the girl with the gall. What is there not to like? Which is why today, I'm going to be taking the next 3 hours to explain why Sena should be the star of her own spin-off game, Sena's Onigiri. I'm just kidding, that's next week's video. Today, I'm going to be playing Xenoblade 3, but everyone is an ogre. More specifically, the ogre class. So starting this challenge, we immediately run into a problem, as we don't unlock class switching until early into chapter 2, so the solution to this problem is to turn the game off. That's because, due to the wonders of New Game Plus, we can start a new file with the party all set as ogre. Now I'm sure we all know the opening to the story by now, but here's a quick refresher. Sena, and Sena have been assigned to back up Mwamba as he single-handedly decimates all of Colony Sigma. After this, Mwamba announces he's going to be taking part in a tournament located on Capricorn Peak, and our party should sign up at their earliest convenience. Now to try and keep this challenge as close to playing on the normal file as possible, I've decided to limit myself by only using the arts, skills, gems and accessories I would have available at each point in the story. But I would immediately regret this decision, as I was unable to get past the Agnes trio due to the lack of a healer, so the solution I came up with was to employ the use of the Joestar family's secret technique and run away as fast as possible, while Sena and Sena dealt most of the damage. But that didn't work very well either, so instead I kept reattempting the fight until the party was about to level up, and then used the full heal from said level up to outlast the remaining enemies. So with that fight out the way, we now had a full party which allowed us to blitz our way through the next few battles. Well, that was until the Guyana Aspar gave us the side eye and decided to initiate a fight. Long story short, I couldn't do it. I kept trying over and over again, but I just couldn't build the chain attack gauge quick enough, which meant I needed to come up with a new strategy. But it's only now, while writing this script, that I realised I made a big error. So the way I overcame this fight was by equipping everyone with master arts. However, I forgot the fact that at this point in the story, you would only have access to one art and not 3 like I had done, which was very irritating to discover, as I'd only thought gems and accessories were locked behind level gates. But I suppose at the end of the day, I definitely paid the price when going up against the Xenoblade 3 killer of challenge runs. But we'll get to that later. So with the Guyana Aspar defeated, it was another steamroll. The only fights that gave me any sort of trouble from then on were Ethel's, Juniper's and Consul J's. For Ethel and Juniper's fights, the main problem came from the number of enemies, but the solution was exactly the same as the Agnes trio, where I just needed to use a carefully timed level up in order to heal the party. Consul J was a bit more awkward, however I just had to keep experimenting with different skills combined with daze locking until his HP went down. Coming up next though has to be one of my favourite Xenoblade experiences to date. The next wall in progress was the Ethel and Kamaravi fight. After about 20 tries, I genuinely believed this was going to be the end of the run, as I could hardly leave a scratch on one of the Phoroneses before the other one would cause a party wipe. I'd even equipped Uni with a memory locket, as I figured by this point in the story, you'd probably have been able to gather enough Nopon coins to buy one, but even that didn't make a difference. I was just about ready to give up until I had one more strategy I wanted to try. The plan was simple: topple Ethel and Kamaravi's Phoroneses, alternatively, indefinitely, until they both went down, and to my amazement, it worked! And as mentioned earlier, this has to be one of my favourite Xenoblade experiences, as I genuinely didn't expect this outcome. There's just something so rewarding about coming up with a new way to play your favourite game and having a completely different experience with it. That is, unless I'm doing a challenge in Xenoblade 3 because of... oh wait. So now let's talk about Zed. The remainder of the run after Ethel and Kamaravi was relatively straightforward. There are a few problems with the fights during Mio's side story, but the solutions were almost identical. So walking into the amphitheatre, I was dreading what was to come. I'm going to try to not repeat myself too much, as I believe I've said something similar in my level backwards challenge, but it baffles me just how much my opinion of Zed has changed after doing these runs. At first I really thought Zed was one of the weakest villains, both in terms of character and boss fight. My opinion on the boss fight itself still hasn't changed, as I think it's easily one of the worst in the series, that could simply be improved with just a single checkpoint. But my opinion of Zed as a character has shifted dramatically, but probably not for the reasons you might expect. So going into the fight, I had the best gear and what I thought would be the best loadout. And the first attempt actually went really well, as I got all the way to the start of the second major phase, and then was hit with a party wipe. But okay, no worries, I'll try again. Only to get to the same point, and have history repeat itself. This happened a few more times, but now I'm starting to think doing this fight over so often has made me go slightly mad, because I now feel a personal attachment to Zed. For instance, when he says, "I'll face you as many times as you want, the struggle is all that you are permitted," I feel as though he is directly talking to me. So now I've developed this love-hate relationship with him, where my perception of his character has now become completely bastardized, in which I now view him as more of a rascal, almost Team Rocket-like villain, and not the serious antagonist he was originally supposed to be. Malos will always be my favourite Xenoblade villain, but now Zed has become a close second, and I sincerely hope the DLC expands on his character, but it would probably shatter my heavily distorted headcanon. But with that said, eventually I got through the fight. Unfortunately, it wasn't in as many attempts as my last challenge run. But it's all Ogre now. So if you like what I'm doing here, subscribe. And as always...
Yippee!